Hey, Peeps Galucia here, and today I want to be showing you a little bit about World of Warplanes. It's a new game that is still in closed beta, but it's going to open beta soon. So for those of you that wanted to get this game or haven't even heard about it, either way, aren't in the closed beta, and you're interested in getting into the open beta, I wanted to give you kinds of a heads up a little bit and see exactly what you're in store for when you start the game. So really quick, I'm going to give you a rundown here in the hangar, and then we'll show you some gameplay. So first off, there's 4 nations that you can play as. You can start off as the Americans, the Russians, the Germans, or the Japanese. Now, for right now in the beta, there's a limited amount of aircraft. Obviously, more to be added later, but for now, this is what we got. So I wanted to kind of break it down for you just to give you an idea of which one you might want to use. So for the Americans, you have 2 types of craft. You have the fighters, which in a nutshell are the highly maneuverable, fast aircraft that are used for shooting at other aircrafts. And they're good for most things except for like really heavily armored aircrafts like the big bombers, because they don't quite have the firepower necessary to take them out. Not that you can't, but it takes a while. Then you have the carrier-based fighters, which are a lot like the fighters, but they're not quite as fast or as maneuverable. But they do carry a small payload of bombs or some type of ordnance that they can use to destroy ground targets. So, if you want to use the fighters, this is as good as any. There's other countries that have fighters, but if for nothing else, just because later in the tech tree you get to use the classic P-51 Mustang, it's worth it to me to upgrade those for the fighters. So that's the fighter tier that I'm working on. It's also the carrier tier that I'm mostly working on, because at the end you get the F-7U, which is a gorgeous, awesome plane. For the USSR, they're the ones that have the attack aircraft. These are slow, lumbering planes, but they're tanks. They have a giant amount of hit points, and they have an insane amount of firepower. I have the up to the tier 3 unlocked for these, and the amount of firepower that this thing unleashes with its 10 light machine guns that it has mounted, 10 7.62s, it's pretty silly at that point. It's a very crazy volley of bullets. So, very effective for taking out the larger aircraft, such as the other attack aircraft and the heavy aircraft, which we will talk about right now. So the Germans are the ones that have the heavy fighters. These are basically your bombers. These are the ones that are going to carry the largest payload of bombs, and they're the ones that are typically going to be taking out like the enemy base, the large buildings like the enemy base. Just like any of the other ones, they also have their fighters. Some of them are classic fighters that some of you might be big fans of if you're World War II buff and you really like German planes. But the bombers is really where it's at. So if you think you're going to enjoy the bomber scene, then the Germans are the ones for you. Now, for now, Japan only has the one tech tree. Obviously, this is, I'm sure, something that's going to change in the future. But for now, all they have is the carrier-based. I have started using them just so I can get a feel for how they are. But, again, since the U.S. also have carrier-based fighters and their tier 10 is the F-7U, that's what I want to save up for, so that's the ones I've been working on. So I'm going to show you some gameplay here, but I'd like you to comment below and let me know if you've been playing this game, which type of craft you prefer. And if not, which type of craft you think you're going to prefer to play. I'm going to see if I can't show you at least some gameplay footage of each class type. We'll see how much I can fit into this video. So I'm going to start off with the fighters, and we'll see what kind of footage I can get for you for those. I guess now that I'm in my tier 3, it'd be a good time to point out that you can customize the exterior of your planes. So, like, the American planes start off as, like, this default blue, and I changed this one to, like, a green. And you can put the pin up on it. I got the pin up riding the bomb there. There's other things you can put on it, but I mean, why would you want to put anything that's not a pin up? Let's be honest with each other here. As the fighters, I tend to like to go for the carrier fighters before they like get rid of their 2 measly bombs. Plus, they're usually slower, lumbering planes. They can't maneuver as good as I can, so sometimes it's easy prey in the beginning. Sometimes. This is one of them. Now we're going to see if we can work on the bomber.
Target hit. Our headquarters is destroyed. Friendly anti-aircraft fire has lost accuracy.
Well, he took care of what he was trying to get taken care of. He took out... So he's a heavy, and that's what the heavy should do. They should go for the headquarters, and that's exactly what he did. If the heavies are doing what they're supposed to and they're going straight for a headquarters, it can be pretty difficult to stop them beforehand because they have a lot of hit points and pretty difficult to take down. But obviously you can eventually take care of it.
The weapons have overheated. Rate of fire is reduced.
Now you can see that you can't just like lay on the trigger forever. Your guns will overheat. It's best to burst them as when you can. Only shoot when you have the target, you know, pretty much in sight, and you know that you're going to get the job done. If you can. But like times like this where I have to kind of maneuver around and who is behind me and see if I can't get this guy off my tail. I'll call for help, but they rarely help you. Is when your guns get to cool off and stuff. Anybody get this plane off of me, please? Be awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. I stole the crap out of that kill. Wow. I just like shoot 4 bullets. It's like, you got a kill. That's kind of messed up. Okay, I'm going to leave those planes to deal with a fighter that was on my tail. I'm going to start heading over to where the other 2 planes are in this to help out because it's basically 2 versus 2 in the bottom corner there, and all the other planes on our team are going to swarm that one plane. So while they're taking care of that, I'm going to take off for over here, see if I can't get a kill. You see one of our planes just got shot down. They're struggling here in the corner. I'm trying to get there so I can help. Just like the guns, though. You can only boost for so long before your engine overheats, and you can't deal with it. Now, these planes are smart, though. They're hanging out by their base, which means they're getting help from their anti-air fire. See, I'm getting pelted by it now. I try to avoid attacking things by the base if I can, but it's not always possible, like right now.
Target hit.
Woo-hoo-hoo, that was close. Oh, someone get over here, please. There's a guy. Oh, I'm dead. But you know what? That was a very successful gameplay. 5 kills. I'm very happy with that. If we don't win, I'll be really mad. If I can get 5 kills and my team still loses. But anyway, that's a good look at the fighters. That's what they're for. They're for taking out the enemy planes. They really don't screw around with the ground stuff pretty much at all. The only chance you have at destroying buildings would be to attack the actual... I'm spectating. I just realized this is a tier 1 and he's still alive. That's really funny. The only chance that they really have is to use their machine guns, which is not going to get you very far against ground targets. It's going to take several passes unless you have an aircraft with a lot of firepower on the machine guns. It's going to be very difficult to take out buildings. It's not worth your time. Focus on the aircrafts. That's what's going to help your team out. 5 kills. I'm okay with that. So now I can show you the carrier-based. Now, really quick, before I jump onto my carrier plane, I did want to kind of show you the tech tree stuff a little bit, kind of show you how you do upgrades, because it actually is a lot like World of Tanks for anyone that plays World of Tanks, since this is made by the same people. And you can see now I have enough XP that I can get the machine guns here, which is what I'm going to get. But I wanted to point out the little symbols behind it. It says 12.7 millimeter M2. That's the machine gun, and then it says S. That tells you where it's mounted. So if this one said S, it would mean that we would be replacing these. It says W, which means it's getting put in a different place, which means we're adding machine guns. So by default, this plane has 2 12.7 millimeter machine guns. But now that we're researching this, and I have enough bedoozles to buy it, now we're going to have 4, which you can see immediately increases our firepower from 100 by 83. But it also reduces our airspeed and maneuverability, because we're adding the weight from these guns. These guns have physical weight, and that weighs the plane down. So you have to, it's a trade-off. You have to understand that. So now we have these 2 in the middle, and the 2 on the wings here, which as the other thing I like about this, that's what the W stands for, obviously. That's what I like about this, is that you can actually see when you change things like that. You can physically see that I have 4 machine guns now, and I really like that. So I wanted to point that out before I went ahead and jumped into a battle with my carrier-based fighter. So with the carrier-based, it's a little bit different than the fighters. They're basically fighters, but they don't quite have the maneuverability and the speed that the fighters do. The other problem with them is that in the beginning, they have even less than the fighters do, and that is for the simple fact that I'm carrying 200-pound bombs, 1 on each wing. That added weight is really what screws us up. Wow, I already lost half my health. That really screws up my maneuverability and makes it I'm unable to boost. Awesome. It makes it very, very difficult for me to be able to get anything accomplished, basically. So I like to drop my bombs as early as possible. I lucked out now because no one's on my tail, so I can drop these 2 bombs. Now, they're not powerful enough to take out the headquarters, so I just take out whatever buildings, basically, I can. Whatever buildings are available to me to blow up, I do it. I get credit for blowing up some buildings, and then I move on with my life and try to kill some actual planes. But seeing as how I'm already, like, half freaking health, that might be a little bit difficult. But at least we got those 2 buildings destroyed. I can get away from the base now because I'm getting hit with a little bit of anti-air stuff. And we just added some machine guns. Maybe I'll get lucky. There's some carrier bases, so we're going to be working on those guys. But that's basically how I run it. That I try to get rid of the bombs first, and then I move on to... where are you going? Ah, I can't boost this, right?
Target hit.
I'm going to stall out. Come on. Oh, boy.
Target hit.
Oh, I'm getting hit with a serious volley of bullets now. There's no way. I'm done.
Excessive dive angle.
Rough break with the carrier-based. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not crazy about the carrier-based fighters so far. It feels like they're a jack-of-all-trade, master of none. They can't lay down the firepower with bombs as much as, like, the actual bombers, the heavy ones. And they're not as good as fighters at being a fighter. So I'm kind of not totally digging the carrier base, but I do want to give you a good view of them. So this is the other carrier base, the Japanese, and let's see what we can do for them, if anything. So I can upgrade their machine gun, which wouldn't be a terrible idea because the firepower for this is really low. 35 is insanely low. You can also see that they suck at bombs early on. These are 30-kilogram bombs. They only do 800 damage. That's pathetic. So I haven't even bothered putting bombs on this. I'm waiting to get the upgrade to the next tier to see if it's any good at all, which I should be saving my XP to do that. But I am curious to see what happens with the better guns here. And they're not even additional guns. They're replacement guns. Like I said, I don't even carry bombs. So unlike with the Americans, when I would normally try to get those couple bomb targets really quick and then switch to fighter mode and working on planes, I'm just a fighter, but I'm not that good of a fighter. I mean, I only have 70 health points. My firepower is way less than the American versions of my American tier 3s, both the fighters and the sea carrier. It just feels like an inferior plane, but maybe they get better later in the tiers. It's just going to take me a while to get there because, like I said, I really am not investing the time that I wish I probably should in the Japanese because I would like to spread it out a little bit. So I'm probably going to stick with my bomber, try to escort him as best I can. I will say that the Japanese planes are fast, which is what they were known for, so that, you know, makes sense or whatever. But they are quick, so I like that about it. Now, one thing I could point out is that in the little window on the bottom left, it shows you the target that I have right now, which is this guy that I'm shooting at, and it does an actual comparison. You can see that my firepower is not as good as him, my speed's not as good as him, but my maneuverability is better. And I like that it actually gives you a stat comparison between you and who you're shooting at, because it gives you an idea of what you're better at. I can maneuver better than him, so that I need to try to use that to my strength. That's my strength right now, that I should be able to get behind him regularly. My firepower sucks, but I can whittle him down if, you know, I keep at this long enough. And one of my friendlies doesn't freaking slam into me in the process, because that seems to be close to happening. Jesus, get away. I'm going to break off. I'm worried that I'm going to get hit by a friendly. Oh, nope, the other friendly broke off. Okay, okay. Just kidding. JK, JK. There we go. That was some good stuff. Ah. Oh, well. I did the majority of the damage, so I did get that assisted to destroy thing, which you still get a lot of points for, because the game recognizes that. You know, I've done that before. I've stolen kills from people, and it's like, the game's like, all right. And, like, they give you credit for the kill, but I could never destroy this, ever. Look at... Firepower is so bad in these things. I will say, for anybody that was playing War Thunder, which was another free-to-play flight game like this, that the controls for this seem way more intuitive. That just using a keyboard and a mouse setup, the controls are awesome. I am flying right into a hornet's nest. This is dumb. YOLO! We basically, that was one of those things where it was just like, we are going to lose, and I'm just going to go in here and see if I can't shoot something. But anyway, so those are the carrier bases. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the carrier bases, so I wasn't going to hold my breath for some really good footage to show you guys. I just wanted to kind of show them to you and let you decide what your opinion is of it. So I think what might be my favorite class so far is the heavy fighters, and we also have the attack aircraft to talk about. So that's two different aircrafts we can talk about. So I will save that for the next video. We'll cover both of those, and hopefully these two videos will give you a pretty good first look at the game and let you decide whether or not you want to play it, and if you do, which aircraft type is the one for you. So thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate the support and views as always, and I will see you next time. Laters!